Great to be back. Thank you very much, guys. What a crew. What an incredible team. Merci, Fred. Merci d'être là, tout le monde. Thank you very much, everyone. Most of all, thank you to the great workers at the Ontario shipyards. Sean, thank you for welcoming me back. Where is Sean? Is he hiding? There is Sean. Good to see you. This is my third time here? I think it is. Third time. And we're going to be doing a lot more building here in the future. Can't wait to stimulate even more shipbuilding and maintenance. And there's no better shipyard anywhere in the world than this one. Thank you to your family for all you've built, Sean. And thank you to our incredible team of Conservative candidates who are here to deliver change. We've got Baz Slemmers, we've got Tony Baldinelli, Dean Allison, and of course Fred Davies, whom you've met. And they're here because they want to bring change to Canada, to bring back Canada's promise so that hard work gets a great life in a beautiful, affordable house on a safe street, protected by brave troops under our proud flag. They're here because the choice in this election, of course, is that after the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy under America's thumb, we can't afford a fourth Liberal term. We need a change in government so Conservatives can axe taxes, build homes, liberate our resources, and build our economy strong enough to stand up to the Americans for a change. That is the choice in this election. And no better place to symbolize that choice than right here in Welland at Ontario Shipyards. For 35 years, this 100% Canadian-owned company has led the way on shipbuilding and repair, creating thousands of jobs and strengthening our maritime borders. The ships they build and repair allow products to get to market, and it's great to be joined by so many of the workers who do that incredible, skillful work. There's a lot of brain power in this room today. Here we are today near the Welland Canal. This great Canadian project united our country. The first two phases were built before Confederation even happened, as the British colonies took their first tentative steps to join economies together. The third phase of the canal was done under then Prime Minister Sir John A. Macdonald, and its fourth phase was begun by Conservative Prime Minister Robert Borden. Now, the reason I bring that up is I ask myself, could we actually build the Welland Canal today? I wonder. Here we are a century and a half later. We have much more technology, bigger, more powerful machines. We don't rely on the muscular power of animals to move heavy rocks and aggregates. We have these incredible machines. But something tells me it would actually take longer to get it built today. Not because of our builders or our companies or the machines they use, but because of the enormous bureaucracy that would stand in the way of getting it done. But today, more than ever, we need to start building. And we've done it before. We can do it again. We built the great Canadian Pacific Railway. We cleared the St. Lawrence Seaway, creating an H2O highway from basically Thunder Bay all the way to the Atlantic Ocean because of the ability to get things done. And we will be able to do things again. We've been hit with hardship in the past. Remember the great global economic crisis of 2008. During that time, our government took fast action under the leadership of then Prime Minister Stephen Harper. It was called the Economic Action Plan. There were some differences. Obviously, we went into that crisis strong. Our economy was growing. We had a budget surplus before the crisis hit. Food was affordable. So were homes. Taxes were lower. I know because I was serving as Prime Minister Harper's parliamentary secretary at the time. Later, I would go on to be his housing and jobs minister. And that was a time of rising wages and very laughably affordable housing costs. You could buy the average home in Canada then for $450,000. And the average rent was $900 on a one-bedroom. It almost seems hard to believe that that was only 10 years ago. We slashed red tape, simplified project applications, streamlined approvals, and the result is that things got built. The original Economic Action Plan built 30,000 projects, roads, bridges, water systems, port expansions, and more. 610,000 new jobs. We created a one-and-done rule. One project, one-page application form. One page, one environmental review. And after all these projects were done, the Environment Commissioner did not find a single environmental problem, even though all of that paperwork was supposedly meant to protect the environment. After a lost Liberal decade, with costs up and the economy down, sadly, this is no longer the case. After the lost Liberal decade, Canada has had the worst economic growth in the G7, the worst housing price inflation in the G7, the worst household debt in the G7, and $500 billion of net investment has poured out of our country into the United States. No wonder Donald Trump wants the Liberals elected for a fourth term. Happily, Donald Trump doesn't get to choose our next Prime Minister. Canadians do, and they want change. They want change to turn the page. But unfortunately, Mr. Carney wants to stay on the Justin Trudeau's page. He supports every single policy that Trudeau put in place. He supported Trudeau in killing 16 major energy projects worth $176 billion. There are no new pipeline law, no new development law, C-69, their cap on Canadian energy, and their anti-development policies have driven $500 billion to the States, and Mr. Carney has publicly stated he wants to keep every single one of those policies. He will keep C-69, the no development law, keep the energy cap on Canadian oil and gas, and keep the industrial carbon tax that will drive jobs south. And after Justin Trudeau doubled our national debt, once again, at Mark Carney's advice, your tax bill has gone up too, to pay off the Liberal government's credit card. And now Mr. Carney is doubling down on the same failed Liberal policies. His ideological agenda will stifle development here in Canada, making us more dependent on the Americans than ever before. On energy, he and his Quebec lieutenant, the radical anti-energy activist Stephen Guilbeault, who was twice arrested for climbing up the CN Tower and then climbing onto the roof of the Alberta Premier's house, all to fight against energy. This is the guy that Mr. Carney has put in charge of Quebec. And Mr. Carney himself has said he wants to keep 80% of our fossil fuels in the ground. In the ground is where our wealth will remain if he becomes Prime Minister again after this election. This radical environmental agenda is dangerous and risky. Mr. Carney and the Liberals would deepen our weakness and push us further and downward towards recession. In fact, if you look at Mr. Carney, despite all the bragging he does about his resume, he's been wrong about every major economic issue of our time. He was wrong to support the carbon tax. He was wrong to oppose Canadian pipelines. He was wrong to say that inflation would not be a problem 5 years ago and encourage rampant money printing that led to mass misery in Canada and gave us 37% more food price inflation than they had in the States. Every important economic issue of our time has seen Mark Carney on the wrong side. And now he has no plan. A resume is not a plan. He hopes you don't notice that. In fact, Mark Carney's entire election strategy is to make you forget his record and the Liberal record of rising costs and crime and focus instead on his promise that he can handle Donald Trump. That's an actual quote from him. But so far, there's no evidence of that whatsoever. Look at the reality. While the rest of the world is getting pauses on Trump's tariffs, there are more tariffs on Canada today than when Mark Carney became Prime Minister. Now, I'm not blaming Mr. Carney for that. He has no control over President Trump. But that's why he should stop promising that he does, because he can't. What we need to do is focus on what we can control, and that means reversing the disastrous Liberal economic policies that he advised and Trudeau implemented with the help of all the Liberal ministers that are running for re-election for a fourth time. It's the same Liberal MPs, same Liberal ministers, same Liberal advisors with the same Liberal results. We need a change in government with a new Conservative leadership that has a Canada First economic action plan. It will be modeled in a lot of ways off the incredible success that Stephen Harper had in the 08-09 crisis. And that's why I'm rolling out that plan today. First, this plan includes tax relief. We will cut taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy to unleash production and paychecks here in Canada. We'll cut income taxes by 15% for the average worker to save a working couple almost $2,000. With more money in their pockets, Canadians will be able to spend at local businesses, boosting employment in restaurants, corner stores, and hotels. Furthermore, we will axe the federal sales tax on new homes to save you up to $65,000. And yesterday I announced that we will work with municipalities to bring down local building taxes another $50,000 a home. The goal is to cut building taxes by $100,000 per home so that these great workers behind me today can afford a place to live. That will stimulate construction, meaning more trades jobs, and demand for Canada's lumber, which is being tariffed by Donald Trump. If we can build more homes here in Canada, we don't have to send our lumber to the Americans. We can create the logging jobs on our own turf. And to protect our auto workers, we'll axe the federal sales tax on Canadian-made automobiles to create more demand for our homemade cars and allow Canadians a more affordable set of wheels to get around. Conservatives will train 350,000 new apprentices over the next 5 years with an expanded union training and innovation program, and we'll restore the $4,000 apprenticeship grant that the Liberals cut. That means more good union jobs for our young people and more homes being built by our skilled tradespersons. The people that build the homes will be able to buy them as well. We'll also set up a Keeping Canadians Working Fund to provide emergency loans to manufacturers and others hit by the Trump tariffs, because we want to keep people in their jobs, earning paychecks, contributing to Canada. To make life more affordable again, we need to cut taxes and build homes. And to do this, we need an ambitious plan to boost our productivity and grow our economy after the lost Liberal decade. My new Canada First Economic Action Plan will boost our economy by unlocking our resources, empowering our entrepreneurs, and unleashing our economy with a realistic goal of generating more GDP. We'll also pass the Canada First Reinvestment Tax Cut, zero capital gains tax when you reinvest here in Canada. This will be like rocket fuel for our economy, causing money to pour back into factories, shipyards, new homes, business centres, and other places that generate paychecks for our people. All of these policies combined have been calculated to boost our GDP by $500 billion spread over the next 5 years. This calculation has been done by Philip Cross, the former Statistics Canada Chief Economic Analyst, and Dr. Tim Sargent, the former Senior ADM at Finance Canada, who now is practicing as a PhD economist. These two revered economists have calculated that these policies I've announced of cutting taxes on investment, work, home building, and energy, plus repealing the anti-resource Liberal laws, will unlock $500 billion in additional GDP spread over the next 5 years. This is money that will go into the pockets of our workers. This will build our economy back and fortify it against the Americans. It will also generate new tax revenue to fund schools, hospitals, and most of all, our military, to make us more independent. We will do this by unlocking our resources. We'll create a national energy corridor for pipelines, transmission lines, rail lines, and other critical infrastructure. We will pre-approve projects through shovel-ready zones. We will unleash more production with a one-stop shop that safely and quickly approves resource projects with one-page application form, one environmental review, and a maximum of 1 year wait time to get things approved, with the goal being 6 months. This means roads, mines, LNG terminals, hydro projects, and nuclear power stations. We'll back LNG 2, the major project in northwestern British Columbia, by allowing it to go ahead. This is tens of billions of dollars of new investment to ship Canadian gas over to Asia, displacing dirty coal. We'll back the Port of Churchill, shipping our wonderful petroleum projects, and we'll speed up the approval of Canada's incredible opportunity in the Ring of Fire, granting permits in only 6 months. We'll cut red tape by 25% and add a 2-for-1 rule that every new regulation must be met with the removal of 2 existing ones. The Canada First economic plan will be like rocket fuel for the Canadian economy. After a century after we built the Welland Canal, and more than a decade after the great global financial crisis that Stephen Harper weathered so well with the incredible help of the late Jim Flaherty, to whom we owe so much credit, we can do this again. We know that we can. We know that we can turn the page on the lost Liberal decade of rising costs and crime and a falling economy. We know that they don't deserve and we can't afford a 4th term. What we need is a change that puts our country first. That is how we're going to take back control of our economic destiny. And it is how we're going to supercharge Canada's economy. But let's not forget, the reason we want to supercharge our economy is not just so that economists sitting in lecture halls or accountants sitting in front of their spreadsheets can delight at impressive numbers. It's so that people's lives are better off. So that once again, these workers here get a nice house with a yard where kids can play, where they can have a nice dog, where the streets are safe, where the mortgage is paid off, where they're not stressed at night. They go to bed with their head hitting the pillow, feeling a sense of peace and calm, that they're on solid financial footing. That was the Canadian promise. That is the purpose of the Canada First Economic Action Plan. That is the reason why we're marching forward with these great workers, is to bring back the promise of Canada, so that hard work gets them and all a great life in a beautiful house that they can afford, on a safe street protected by brave troops under our proud flag. Canada First, for a change. Let's bring it home. Thank you.
Matt Latour, My Broadcasting Corporation. You visited this region a number of times before the campaign, and now you're here during the election. Why is this such an important region to you?
Well, first of all, it's a great industrial heartland. People here, I find, have been working very hard. When I talk to our MPs and candidates in this region, they've been telling me that they go to the doorsteps and they have people literally crying on their shoulders. They're working nonstop. They're saving, they're scrimping, they're cutting back on their household expenses, and they still can't make it. Their kids are living in the home until their 30s. Crime is increasingly overtaking the streets. They're worried about drug addictions, and they want some hope. And that's why I'm here, to provide people with some hope and change. You know, after the lost Liberal decade of rising cost and crime and a falling economy under America's thumb, we can't afford a 4th Liberal term. We need a new Conservative government that will axe taxes, greenlight home building, resource projects, bring our jobs home so we can stand up to the Americans with strength for a change. So my message to the people across this region is have hope, because change is on the way. Thank you very much. Yeah. So in English, thank you very much for the question. As I said at the outset, the message is that after the lost Liberal decade of rising crime and costs and a falling economy under America's thumb, we can't afford a 4th Liberal term. We need a new government that will bring change and hope to the people, that they can again earn a great living and live in a nice house that they can afford on a safe street under our proud flag. Now, Liberals don't want us talking about those. They want us, Mark Carney wants us to forget about the last 10 years and his role in bringing about the lost Liberal decade. He doesn't want to answer questions about why he stuffs his corporate cash in overseas tax havens. So he's in hiding from that as well. He doesn't want to answer questions about his connection to the regime in Beijing, from which he got a $250 million loan from his company only 6 months ago while he was economic advisor to Justin Trudeau. An incredible conflict of interest. He doesn't want to answer questions about the ongoing conflicts he has with tens of millions of dollars potentially invested in a company that has money in overseas tax havens, owes a debt to the Chinese Communist government, and has countless other conflicts that he will not reveal to Canadians. That's why he is not responding to questions. I'm here sharing a message of hope and change to put people back, give people back the Canadian promise. That's what we're here for. Let's put Canada first for a change. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This concludes our press conference today.